This is Sleeping Temple. You have arrived at a quieter place. Tonight's story is a slow boat under moonlight. Tonight the rain stops before midnight. Not suddenly, slowly. It leaves Willow Town the way a sleepy guest leaves a warm room. Softly, carefully, without wanting to wake anyone. The last raindrops slide from the rooftops, one by one. They gather at the tips of dark tiles, tremble for a moment, and fall into the narrow lanes below. A drop lands on a wooden sign outside the bakery. Another slips from a blue window shutter. Another taps the stone beside the canal, making one small circle that opens and disappears. All through Willow Town, the rain has washed the evening clean. The cobblestones shine in the lamplight. The garden walls are dark with water. The little bridges are slick in silver along their backs. Ferns hold tiny beads of rain. The flower pots outside the tea shop smell of damp earth and lavender. Inside the houses, most of the windows are already dark. Curtains have been drawn. Candles have been blown out. Blankets have been pulled up to chins. The town has folded itself inward, street by street, room by room, breath by breath. And in one small upper room beside the canal, Willow, the orange cat, sleeps curled on a cushion near the window. The room is warm from the day. A kettle rests quietly on the stove, still holding a little memory of heat. Books lie beside a small lamp. A blue cup smells faintly of chamomile. On the rug, a ball of soft yarn rests beside one orange paw. Willow does not open his eyes yet. He hears the rain becoming less and less. He hears the roof stop whispering. He hears the canal outside begin to speak in its own slow voice again. Water touches stone. Water moves under bridges. Water carries the last pieces of rain away from the town, away from the roofs, away from the tired little thoughts left over from the day. Above Willow Town, the clouds begin to loosen. At first, there is only a pale seam in the sky. Then the seam widens. A soft gray cloud drifts to one side, and another follows it, leaving a quiet opening above the rooftops. Through that opening, the moon looks down. Its light is not bright. It does not rush in. It simply arrives. A silver line appears along the wet bridge railing. A pale glow settles on the canal steps. The willow leaves turn soft and white at their edges. The moonlight moves slowly over Willow Town, as if it knows this is not a night for hurrying. It touches the sleeping streets. It touches the closed doors. It touches the quiet window where Willow is curled. And then, very gently, it touches Willow's whiskers. One whisker glimmers, then another. Willow's ear gives the smallest twitch. He breathes in. He breathes out. Outside, the rain has stopped completely now. Only the canal keeps moving. Only the moon keeps shining. Only the night remains awake enough to notice how peaceful everything has become. Outside Willow's window, below the wet stone steps of the canal, something waits. It is a small wooden boat. No boatman sits inside it. No oars rest against its sides. No boxes, baskets, bundles, or parcels fill its floor. There is no bell to announce it. No rope pulls it forward. No voice calls from the water. It has arrived as quietly as a thought that comes just before sleep. And now it rests beside the canal steps, touching the stone with one slow, patient bump. The people of Willow Town call it the slow boat. No one remembers who named it first. Perhaps someone saw it pass beneath the moon and noticed that even the water seemed to move more softly around it. Whatever the beginning was, the name remained, the slow boat. It is made of dark wood, polished by many quiet nights. Rainwater rests along its curved edges in tiny silver beads. The floorboards are smooth beneath paws, slippers, and sleepy feet. A small lantern hangs at the front. Its light is warm and low, no brighter than a candle behind a paper screen. The lantern does not try to brighten the whole canal. It does not need to. It gives just enough light to show what is inside the boat. A folded blanket lies along one side, thick and soft, the color of cream. A round blue cushion rests near the middle. Everything inside the little boat seems to be waiting, but not impatiently. Waiting can be gentle, too. The canal carries a few fallen leaves past the boat. They turn once in the lantern glow and continue into the moonlight. A thin ribbon of mist rises from the water, just enough to soften the steps and the bridge. The slow boat moves almost not at all. It breathes with the water, forward a little, back a little, forward a little again. The rope at its side trails loosely in the canal, but it is tied to nothing. This is how the slow boat always comes. It does not ask anyone to fasten it. It does not ask anyone to guide it. It does not ask where a passenger wants to go. Some boats are made for crossing quickly from one shore to another. Some boats are made for carrying market baskets, fishing nets, or travelers with maps. But this boat is different. This boat is made for evenings, when a heart has been moving too quickly. It is made for nights when the mind keeps counting things that no longer need to be counted. It is made for anyone who has forgotten, just for a little while, how to be carried. Above, the moon looks down through the opening in the clouds. Its silver light meets the lantern's golden glow, and together they make a soft path on the canal. The slow boat waits there. No boatman, no cargo, only a lantern, a blanket, a cushion, and enough room for one sleepy orange cat. Willow opens his eyes. At first he does not move. He only looks at the room around him, the way cats do when deciding whether the world is worth waking for. The lamp has burned low. The shadows are soft. The kettle is quiet. On the rug, the ball of yarn has become a round little moon. Willow blinks once, then once again, Outside, the canal makes a slow sound against the stones. Willow knows many sounds of Willow Town: brick carts, children under bridges, cups in the tea shop, rain on the roof, and pages turning in quiet rooms. But tonight, under the sound of the canal, there is another sound. It is almost not a sound at all. A wooden boat touching stone, softly, patiently, as if it has all the time in the world. Willow lifts his head from the cushion, his orange furs flattened on one side from sleep, his whiskers curve forward, his ears turn toward the open window. The moonlight lies across the floor in a pale rectangle, beginning at the sill and ending just beside his paws. He stretches one paw into it, then the other. His claws press lightly into the rug and disappear again. His back rises into a slow arch. His tail uncurls from around his body, a warm orange question mark in the night. He stretches so deeply that his mouth opens in a silent yawn. Then he settles. He listens. The boat bumps once more against the canal step. Willow knows the slow boat. All cats in Willow Town know things that people only half believe. They know warm windows, gentle walls, finished storms, and the quiet arrival of the slow boat. Willow stands. He crosses the rug without hurry. He passes the yarn, the books, the blue cup, and the sleeping kettle. At the window, he pauses. The room behind him smells of chamomile, paper, wool, and home. The night outside smells of rain, moonlight, wet stone, and willow leaves. Both are peaceful. Both are safe. But tonight the river is calling softly. Willow places one paw on the wooden ledge beside the open window. The ledge is cool from the rain, but not cold. He places the second paw beside it and leans forward. Below, the slow boat waits with its lantern glowing. The folded blanket inside looks softer than moonlit cream. The round blue cushion looks exactly the right size for a cat who has no urgent business anywhere. Willow looks back once into the room. The lamp glows low. The kettle rests. The yarn sleeps. Nothing asks him to stay. Nothing asks him to go. That is how Willow likes it. He steps through the window onto the narrow outside ledge. His paws find the wet wood easily. His tail lifts for balance. At the bottom, the slow boat drifts close, as if it has leaned in to meet him. Willow touches the edge with one paw. The boat remains steady. He steps aboard. The wood is smooth beneath his paws. The lantern is warm beside him. The blanket holds the faint scent of clean cotton and night air. Willow circles once on the blue cushion, then pauses, not yet lying down. He looks toward the canal ahead. Moonlight opens over the water. The room behind him remains warm and waiting. The river before him remains quiet and kind. And Willow, who has nowhere to be and nothing to prove, settles into the slow boat under the moon. The slow boat begins to drift away from the shore, very slowly. so slowly that at first it is hard to tell whether the boat is moving or whether the whole town is simply breathing around it. The stone step slips behind. The window above grows smaller. The lantern's glow moves across the water like a small golden leaf. Willow sits on the round blue cushion with his paws tucked neatly beneath him, watching the canal open ahead. No oar dips into the water. No hand pushes the boat forward. No one says where to go. The river knows. It carries the slow boat through the silver canals of Willow Town, under the first bridge, past the closed bakery, the sleeping flower shop, in the quiet tea room. Everything is familiar, and yet everything looks different beneath the moon. The wet stones shine softly. The signs above the shops sway without sound. The rain barrels are full and dark. In the windows, curtains hang still as resting eyelids. The boat glides beneath the low bridge near the clockmaker's house. For a moment, the moon disappears behind the stone arch, and the world becomes all lantern light and water sound. A single drop of rain lands beside the boat with a tiny sound. Plip. Then another. Plip. Then nothing. The slow boat passes through the shadow and returns to the moonlight on the other side. There, the canal widens. A row of willow trees leans over the bank. Their long leaves trail close to the water, combing the moon's reflection into narrow silver threads. The boat slides past them without disturbing a single branch. Willow's eyes follow the movement of the leaves. Left, right, left, right, like a quiet pendulum, like breathing. The water carries the boat carries Willow, the moon carries the night. Somewhere in a garden, a sleeping bird shifts on a branch and tucks its head more deeply under its wing. From far away, the town clock gives one soft note, not loud enough to wake anyone, only enough to remind the night that time is passing gently. Willow blinks, his eyelids lower, lift, lower again. The slow boat continues without hurry. It follows the route the water offers, curving around a quiet corner, passing beneath hanging lanterns that have gone dark, moving beside a wall where ivy glistens with rain. The river makes small sounds against the wood. A hush, a touch, a hush again. Willow turns once on the cushion and lowers his body onto the blanket. The blanket gives beneath him. Its folds rise around his paws and shoulders. The lantern at the front of the boat swings gently, making the shadows move in slow, soft waves. The boat moves without hurry, without destination, only forward. There is something very kind about not needing to know where you're going for a little while. Willow seems to understand this. His ears soften. His tail curls around his side. His breathing becomes deeper, slower, almost the same rhythm as the river. The town drifts with him. The bridges drift behind him. The rooftops drift above him. Even the bright thoughts of the day seem to drift away, loosening one by one, like raindrops sliding from a roof after the storm has ended. Most of the windows are dark. Most of the rooms are asleep. But farther ahead, beyond the next bend in the river, one small square of warm light remains. Then, along the riverbank, one window remains awake. It is not a bright window. It does not blaze or call out into the night. Its light is low and amber, the color of a candle that has been burning for a long time. The light spills softly onto the wet stone below, where it meets the moonlight and becomes something between gold and silver. Inside the room, someone sits bent over a wooden desk. The desk is old. Books lie open across it. Papers are scattered in uneven piles. A pen rests near the person's hand, unused now. A candle burns low beside a cooling cup. The person is not moving much. Their shoulders are rounded. Their head is lowered. Their hands rest near their face, as if they have been holding up too many thoughts for too long. Perhaps they meant to stop earlier. Perhaps they told themselves they would only finish one more page, answer one more question, arrange one more small thing before sleep. But one small thing became another, and the night grew deeper around them. And still, this window stayed awake. The slow boat drifts closer. Willow does not open his eyes fully. He is not there to ask questions. He is not there to hurry anyone away from the desk. He does not know the names of the papers or the reasons for the tiredness, and he does not need to know. Some kinds of comfort do not begin with understanding everything. Some kinds of comfort begin by being quiet nearby. The boat moves beneath the window. The lantern glows. The river carries us slowly, so that the warm light from the room falls over Willow's orange fur. For a moment, he looks almost golden. His whiskers shine. His closed eyelids rest softly. One paw slips from the blanket and hangs over the edge of the cushion, completely relaxed. Inside the room, the tired person lowers their hands. They look toward the window. At first, they only see the wet stone, the canal, and the moonlight scattered over the water. Then the lantern comes into view. Then the curved wooden bow. Then Willow, small and orange and peaceful, drifting through the night as if rest has always been allowed. The tired person blinks. The candle beside them flickers. The river makes a soft sound below. For a long moment, nothing else happens, and that is enough. The papers remain where they are. The books remain open. The pen remains still. Nothing terrible happens because the person has paused. Nothing falls apart because they have looked away. The room continues to hold them. The night continues to pass. The town continues to sleep. Willow breathes in. Willow breathes out. The person watches. There is no message written on the boat. No sign, no instruction, no command to sleep, no command to stop. Only the small orange cat, the warm lantern, the blue cushion, and the river moving on. But sometimes a quiet picture can say what words cannot. Sometimes a sleeping cat can remind a person that the body is allowed to be tired. Sometimes a boat with no oars can remind a person that not every journey must be controlled. The tired person leans back from the desk, just a little. Their shoulders lower, just a little. Their hands unfold, just a little. Outside, the slow boat waits in the current, as if the river itself has slowed to give the person time. Willow remains peaceful beneath the window, neither arriving nor leaving too quickly. The person looks at the papers, then at the candle, then at the sleeping cat. And somewhere in that quiet looking, the long evening begins to loosen its hold. The tired person slowly lifts their head. For a moment, they simply stare. There, upon the moonlit water, sits a small orange cat in a small wooden boat. Silent, peaceful, not rushing anywhere, not apologizing for being still, not trying to finish one last thing before closing his eyes. Willow has given himself completely to the blanket. His paws are soft, his tail is curved around him. His breathing is slow enough that the lantern seems to move with it. In, out, in, out. The person watches the rise and fall of that small sleeping body. Something about it reaches them more gently than advice. No one says, "You must rest now." No one takes the pen from their hand. And yet, the permission is there. It floats up from the canal. It glows in the lantern. It rests in the shape of Willow's sleeping paws. You may stop for tonight. You may leave the page unfinished. You may let the candle go out. You may be a person, not a task. The words are not spoken aloud, but the tired person seems to hear them anyway. They sit very still as the slow boat drifts beneath the window. The river carries Willow forward by the smallest amount, then holds him close again, as if even the water understands that this is a tender moment. The person breathes in. Their breath trembles at first because they have been holding more than they noticed. Then they breathe out, a little longer, a little slower. Their shoulders drop another small distance. The room, which had felt crowded with thoughts, becomes simply a room again. A desk, a chair, books, papers, a window open to the night. Outside, Willow sleeps. He does not earn the moonlight. He does not explain his tiredness to the river. He does not prove that he has done enough to deserve the blanket beneath him. He is simply tired. And because he is tired, he rests. The tired person lets one hand move toward the nearest book, not to read more, not to finish, only to close it gently. The cover settles with a soft sound. Then another book closes. The pen is laid across the papers, as if it too may sleep until morning. Nothing is solved in a grand way. No bright answer appears. No clock turns backward. But something important changes. The night no longer feels like a place where the person has failed to keep up. It becomes, little by little, a place where they are allowed to be held. The slow boat drifts a little farther from the window. The person rises from the chair, slowly. They lower the candle snuffer over the flame. The room darkens, but not completely. Moonlight remains. Lantern light remains. The canal below continues to shine. Before leaving the desk, the person looks once more out the window. Willow is farther away now, passing into the silver path beyond the house. The lantern is smaller. The boat is quieter. But the feeling it brought remains in the room like warmth left behind by a cup held in both hands. You may rest. You may rest before everything is perfect. You may rest while some things are still unfinished. You may rest because morning will come more gently if you let the night carry you for a while. The person turns from the desk. They leave the paper sleeping, and somewhere below on the river, the slow boat continues on, carrying Willow and the quiet permission to rest. Soon the orange cat falls asleep completely inside the little boat. Not almost asleep, not listening with one ear, completely asleep. His head rests on the folded blanket. His whiskers lie still. His front paws are tucked close beneath his chest, and one back paw has escaped from the warm fold of cotton. The lantern at the front glows quietly beside him, making a small circle of gold that travels with the boat wherever the river leads. And somehow, the whole river seems to slow together with Willow's breathing. The current softens, the reflections lengthen. The moonlight opens wider on the surface of the water, no longer broken into quick pieces, but stretched into long, peaceful ribbons. Even the leaves drifting beside the boat move more gently now, as if they too have decided there is nowhere urgent to go. The slow boat passes the last row of canal houses and enters the quieter stretch of water where the town gardens lean down toward the bank. Rosemary grows along the stones. Tall grasses bend over their own reflections. White flowers, closed for the night, nod in the cool air. Willow sleeps through all of it. He sleeps through the turning of the boat. He sleeps through the faint creak of wood. He sleeps through the soft brushing of a willow branch against the lantern hook. The river does not mind. It knows how to carry sleeping things. It has carried spring blossoms, autumn leaves, paper boats, bird feathers, and reflections of clouds. Tonight it carries Willow, and it carries the quiet feeling that followed him from the awake window. The boat glides under another bridge. This bridge is older than the others. Moss grows between its stones. As the boat passes through, the lantern light moves across the wall in a slow, golden wave. Willow's shadow stretches, then gathers back around him on the other side. Beyond the bridge, the canal becomes wide enough to hold the whole moon. There it is, trembling on the water, round, pale, patient. The slow boat moves to the moon's reflection without breaking it very much. The silver light bends around the bow and closes again behind it. Willow breathes in. The river draws close to the shore. Willow breathes out. The river loosens away again. In, out, near, away. The rhythm is so gentle that, if anyone were still awake to watch, they might find their own breathing slowing too. They might forget, for a moment, the shape of the day. They might remember the simple weight of their body, the softness of air moving in and out, the kindness of not needing to hold every thought at once. But almost no one is awake now. The bakery sleeps, the clockmaker sleeps, the flower seller sleeps. The tired person from the window has turned down the covers and placed their head on the pillow. Their room is dark except for the moonlight. Their papers wait calmly on the desk. Their pen rests across the top page. Morning will find everything exactly where it needs to be. Tonight, nothing in Willow Town needs to arrive quickly. Not the boat, not the moon, not even sleep. Sleep does not need to be chased. It does not need to be forced. It may come the way the slow boat came, quietly, when the rain had stopped and the town had grown soft enough to listen. The river turns again. Willow turns with it, still asleep. The lantern turns. The moonlight turns. Willow does not know where the boat is going. He does not need to know. The river knows. And so the slow boat continues, gently, slowly, under moonlight. If you feel tonight as though you have been walking too long, if your thoughts have been moving from one thing to the next, like rain running from roof to gutter to street, if some small part of you is still sitting at a desk, beside a low candle, trying to finish one more page before you are allowed to close your eyes, perhaps you can imagine the slow boat coming for you too. You do not have to call it. You do not have to find the right words. You do not have to explain why you are tired. You only have to notice, somewhere in the quiet of your own night, that the rain has stopped. The roof is no longer whispering. The clouds have opened. Moonlight has begun to touch the edges of things. And below the window, beside the canal steps, the small wooden boat is waiting. No boatman, no cargo, only a lantern, a blanket, a cushion, and a place for you to rest. You may step down slowly. There is no need to hurry. The stone steps are cool beneath your feet. The air smells of rain and leaves and quiet water. The sleeping town asks nothing from you. No door calls you back. No clock tells you to move faster. The slow boat touches a step, once, softly. You step aboard. The boat does not tip. It knows how to receive tired travellers. The blanket waits beside you, folded and warm. The lantern gives just enough light to see the boat and the silver path ahead. You do not need to row. You do not need to steer. You do not need to choose a direction. The river already knows how to carry you gently through the night. It begins to move, slowly. The steps slide behind you. The window rises above you. The room where the day was kept becomes smaller, softer, farther away. You may leave a few things there. The unfinished thought, the sentence that did not come out right, and the worry that can wait until morning. For now, there is only the boat. There is only the moon. There is only the water making small sounds along the wood. Willow is there, curled on the blanket near the lantern. He opens one sleepy eye, just enough to know that you have come aboard, and then he closes it again. Cats understand that everyone arrives at rest in their own time. You may sit beside him. You may let your shoulders drop. You may let your hands open. You may let your breathing become as slow as a river. In, out, in, out. The boat passes under a bridge, and for a moment the world becomes dim and close and very safe. Then it comes out into moonlight again. The canal widens. The willow leaves move like soft curtains, and every sound grows gentler. You do not have to hold the whole day anymore. You do not have to carry every conversation, every plan, every small mistake, every unfinished hope. The boat can carry some of it. The river can carry some of it. Willow sleeps. The lantern glows. The moonlight guides the water. The water guides the boat. And the boat brings you home. Home tonight may be simpler than a house or a street. Home may be the pillow beneath your head, the blanket over your shoulders, and the quiet space behind your closed eyes. The slow boat knows this kind of home. It turns toward it without asking you to look for a map. The river becomes smoother. The lantern becomes smaller. The town becomes softer. Your eyelids may begin to feel heavy now, and if they do, there is no need to resist. You may let them lower. You may let them close. You may let the dark become gentle around you. The boat will keep moving. The river will keep knowing. Willow will keep sleeping beside you, warm and orange beneath the moon. And if a thought appears, you do not need to climb out of the boat to follow it. You can watch it drift by like a leaf on the water. There it goes, slowly, quietly, away. Another thought may come. It can drift too. The river knows what to do with thoughts. You are safe in the boat. You are allowed to be tired. You are allowed to rest before everything is finished. You are allowed to arrive slowly. The remains above you. The blanket remains around you. The water remains beneath you. And the slow boat under moonlight carries you on, gently, gently, until there is only floating, only breathing, only the soft quiet of the night. The river already knows. Let it carry you. Let the lantern grow small. Let Willow sleep, and let the slow boat bring you